Undisputed, I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Skip, how you doing? You better be glad you didn't bet no do.
You didn't have the guts to face me today? You got to go somewhere else?
Hold on.
You're
Skip,
hiding?
I took Milwaukee. You took the Suns.
Oh, I did. And you know what? We just heard the all-time greatest theme song in the history of sports shows called No Mercy, which was created and recorded by our man Lil Wayne. I'm about to have no mercy on the Phoenix Suns for what they did and didn't do last night. Thank you very much.
I'm about to join in with you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about today. Let's get to it. The Bucks evened the NBA Finals at 2 games apiece after a wild comeback last night. Phoenix led by 9 in the fourth quarter, but saw the lead vanish thanks to Chris Middleton's clutch scoring and some big-time defense from Giannis. Devin Booker did drop a game-high 42 points for the Suns, but his foul trouble and Chris Paul's turnovers left the door open enough for the Bucks to get a 109-103 win. So, Shannon, did the Bucks win it, or did the Suns blow this one?
The Suns blew this game. It was right there for them on a silver platter. And right on cue, Skip, if you go back and look at Game 3, look how Milwaukee dominated the paint. And what did they come out and do in Game 4? Jack up 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. Giannis basically airballs 2 free throws and comes back down on the following 2 possessions and shoot 2 airball threes. I'm like, okay, this is right on the Suns. They're playing right into your hands. They're going to go back to think they're a great three-point shooting team, get away from Giannis being aggressive, get away from dominating the paint, and then all of a sudden, Chris Paul, you know what? Was that Scott Foster playing impersonating Chris Paul?
I don't know.
Because for the longest time, we made excuses when they lost and Chris Paul played bad. It was Scott Foster. Scott Foster was nowhere near Milwaukee last night. And Chris Paul played awful. Call a spade, he gagged this game up. Skip, I want to make sure I get my notes right. The Suns shot 51% from the floor. The Bucks shot 40%. That's the 5th worst of a team shooting that worst in NBA Finals history and winning the game.
Yes.
In NBA Finals history.
Thank you.
Yes. And I said this opening night. I said, now the Milwaukee Bucks, the one thing they hang their hats on is rebounding. They out-rebounded Phoenix every single game. But the discrepancy is getting worse on the offensive end. It went from +3 to +7 to +7, and now it's +12. So when you turn the ball over 17 times, you get out-rebounded on the offensive end by 12. The other team shoots more free throws by 10. You're setting yourself up to lose this game. And Skip, I don't listen to the sound, but I like to listen to what the coaches say after the game.
Yep.
And Monty said, yeah, you know what we can do, the things that we can correct. How you gonna correct offensive rebounding? Grow? You're not gonna grow any taller? This is a recurring theme. This is 4 straight games that you said, guys, we got to get to the 50-50 ball. Guys, we got to keep them off the offensive glass. And game after game, it's getting worse and getting worse. And another thing, Monty, you need to go to DeAndre Ayton. As long as Giannis is in the ball game and you're not in foul trouble, you're going to have to play. Because the moment you take him out, you're so undermanned as far as size, they start pounding you on the offensive glass. Skip, did you know Pat Connaughton played less than 32 minutes? He had the 3rd most rebounds of anybody to take the floor last night.
Sure did.
Let that sink in. Pat Connaughton.
Yep.
So it's telling me they wanted more. The Suns think the ball is just going to just fall into my hands. Pat Connaughton says, I'm going to go get it. Bobby Portis says, I'm going to go get it. Now, we know Giannis is a rebounding phenom. But, Skip, this was prime setup for the Suns to take a commanding 3-1 lead. And Chris Paul and the Suns gagged this game off last night.
Thank you. So, biggest picture, biggest takeaway, we do now have a series.
We've got a series.
It feels like it's going to go 7.
Yes.
For all the wrong reasons. It is wildly exciting for all the most painful reasons. I'm exhausted. I couldn't sleep from having to watch that nightmare that the Suns experienced down the stretch of that game last night. They should have won it 15 different ways, and they lost by 6 because to your point, to Monty's point, I tweeted it immediately when the game ended. If you're going to turn it over 17 times on the road and you're going to give up 17 offensive rebounds on the road, you are going to lose the game. But what is excruciating for me, and again, I've told you from the start, the Suns are just a little better than the Bucks, but you obviously have to play better than the Bucks. And last night, they had the Bucks dead to rights.
Yep.
They had them going to the fourth quarter. They were up 6. And right away, Cam Johnson hits a big 3, and they're up 9. So it's 11:42 left in the game, and you're up 9. Surely you can close that deal if you have the point god as your point guard, as in CP3, who is now 36 years of age. He's finishing year 16 in this league, but you would think just on experience, guts, guile, that CP3 could say, I got us. I will get us home. He don't got us. He can't get you home because Chris Paul somehow, shockingly, inexplicably, went from Game 6 against my Clippers, playing the greatest playoff game of his career by far, to last night on the road with the chance to go up 3-1 in the NBA Finals, to all but clinch winning an NBA Finals for the first time ever for the Phoenix Suns in Phoenix. And wait a second, he played his worst playoff game ever? Because I think it is. Maybe there's one somewhere that I forgot about.
This is it.
But I think given the magnitude, given the circumstance,
I agree.
given what was on a silver platter, Chris Paul was just completely out of it. And I agree. It's like Scott Foster was there, but he wasn't there. It's like Chris Paul suddenly actually turned into Cliff Paul, his quote-unquote brother, his twin brother that he plays in the State Farm commercials, who's kind of the nerdy one, the guy who can't play basketball. Or it's almost like Chris Paul disappeared like he does in the newest run of the State Farm commercials, where he turns into a basketball. It's like, I don't know who that guy was, because he had them. All he has to do basically is just take care of the basketball, and you're going to get home. Because, Shannon, the biggest takeaway from last night strategically was, while the NBA world was on the edge of its seat saying, Giannis is going to do it again. He's going to score 40 for the 3rd straight game, maybe the 4th straight game. What happened? DeAndre Ayton played him pretty well last night.
He did.
He bothered him. I told you yesterday, I think they just think Ayton is long enough and strong enough and athletic enough and committed enough that he can at least hold him to a low roar. And he did last night, because Giannis got a lot of bunnies. Does anybody get as many hustle bunnies as Giannis? He just hustles, and he just hustles, and we're going to talk about the block in a little bit, but it's like a hustle play where you hustle and you get a bunny, you get a putback, a lay-in, a dunk off a rebound. He just hustles and hustles, but he had to hustle his way to all of 26 points. And I give you, he gets his rebounds because he is a rebounding machine. He got his 14. But the point is, on a night that you thwarted him, you quote-unquote controlled him, you contained Giannis. And on a night that Drew Holiday shot 4 of 20 and 0 of 5 from 3, you would think, okay, the door is open. You don't even have to run through the door. How about just walk through the door? And I'm going to start with Chris Paul. He commits 2 turnovers in the 4th quarter, where every time he had the ball in his hands, I'm thinking, Shannon, like, are you going to be able to hold on to it? It's like he couldn't find the handle on the basketball. Who was that guy? And if we could see the first turnover, it's just a bad pass turnover with 3:44 left.
And that was a foul on Booker too, Skip.
Yeah, I agree. So here's just a bad pass. He just gets caught, and Giannis gets a hand on it. And the problem is they just get a run out. They just get the run out to Giannis. Well, it's horrible because you're in a commanding position at that point. Yeah. And then we get down to the wire, and Chris could have wiped the slate clean. He could have wiped away all their sins. in one play, it's with 32 seconds left. We can see what Chris did. He gets a switch onto Giannis, which I think he wanted.